Hello Vita, today continue your chapter, the enemy, your next paragraph. Those curse, she murmured, lifting her eyes to thou. But he did not answer. At this moment, he felt the tip of his instrument strike against something hard, dangerously near the kidney. All thought left him. He felt only the purest pleasure. He probed with his fingers delicately, familiar with every atom of this human body. His old American professor of anatomy had seen to that knowledge. Ignorance of human body is the surgeon's cardinal sin, sirs. He said he had thundered at his classes year after year. To operate without as complete knowledge of the body as if you had made it anything less than that is murder. Hannah mentioned the scars to Sudhao and asked about them. Sudhao did not answer. At that moment, the tip of the instrument hit something hard. It was very close to the kidney. Sudhao was not thinking of anything else. He was happy to have finally found the bullet. He moved his finger inside the wound. Sudhao was familiar with the tiniest part of the human body. His professor of anatomy in America had told them that if surgeons ignored the knowledge of any part of the body, it was the first misdeed that he had committed. To operate upon a body without detailed knowledge of it, as much as the person who makes it has, would amount to committing murder of that body. So the professor would repeat these words in the class often. It is not quite at the kidney, my friend. So thou said that it was his habit to murmur to the patient when he forget himself in an operation. My friend, he always called his patients, and so now he did, forgetting that this man was his enemy. So thou spoke to the injured man. He said that the bullet had just missed his kidney. When thou would get engrossed in the operation, engrossed means busy in the operation, he would start talking to the patient. He addressed the patient as my friend. He called the injured man also my friend. He forget that this man was not a friend but an enemy. Then quickly be the cleanest and most precise of incision. Precise means inaccurate. Precise means accurate. Okay, sorry. Of incision. Incision means surgical cut. The bullet was out. The man quivered, trembled, but he was still unconscious. Nevertheless, he muttered a few English words. Sdaw was quick. He made a few surgical cuts of the body and removed the bullet. The man trembled in pain but remained unconscious. He spoke a few words in English which were an expression of the pain that he was experiencing. Guts. Guts means informal word for bravery and determination. He muttered, choking, they got my guts. Thou, Hannah cried sharply. Hush, thou said. The man sank again into silence so profound. Profound means very great or intense. That thou took up his wrist, hitting the touch of it. Yes, there was still a pulse so faint, so feeble. Feeble means weak, but enough if you wanted the man to live to give hope. The injured man choked and said, guts. They got my guts. He meant that he was serious. The Japanese army would have tough time him. Upon Hannah cried out to Sdao, Sdao asked her to keep quiet. The man became so quiet that Sdao held his wrist to check his heartbeat. He was checking if the man was still alive. His pulse was there, although it was very weak. Sdao thought that it was enough for a person who had a desire to live. There was still hope that the man would survive, but certainly I do not want this man to live, he thought. Sda was sure that he did not want the man to live. No more anesthetic, he told Hannah. He turned a swift as though he had never paused and from his medicine he chose a small vial and from it filled a hypodermic and thrust it into the patient's left arm. Hypodermic means needle, syringe, injection. Thrust means pushed. Then, putting down the needle, he took the man's wrist again. The pulse under his fingers fluttered. Fluttered means trembled once or twice and then grew stronger. So thou stopped Hannah from administering anesthetic. He turned quickly and chose a small bottle from the medicine. He filled a syringe with the medicine and pushed the vaccine into the man's left arm. Sdaw placed the needle down and held the man's wrist. The pulse severed once or twice and then improved. This man live in spite of all, he said to Hannah and sighed. The young man woke so weak, his blue eyes so terrified when he perceived where he was at. Hannah felt compelled to apologize. Compelled means forced, and apologize means feel sorry. She herself served him, for none of the servants would enter the room. Sdaw took a deep breath as he told Hannah that the injured man would live. He woke up, his blue colored eyes were full of fright as he realized where he was. Hannah felt sorry for him. She served him she served him food as the servants refused to enter the room where he was kept. When she came in the first time, she saw him summons his master to be prepared for some fearful thing. Summon means to gather. When Hannah met the injured man for the first time, he saw that the man was gathering strength and he was full of fear. Don't be afraid, he begged him softly. He come, you speak English, he gasped. Gasp means to catch one's breath due to astonishment, surprisement. I was a long time in America, she replied. She saw that he wanted to reply to that, but he could not, and so he knelt. Knelt means sat on her knees and fed him gently from the Frocklin spoon. Frocklin means a white, vitrified, translucent cramming, also called China used for making utensil pottery. He ate unwillingly, but still he ate. Hannah said softly to the injured man that he should not be afraid. He was surprised that she could speak English. Hannah replied that she had lived in America for a long time. The man wanted to speak further, but was not able to speak. Hannah fed him gently with a spoon made of Frocklin. The man did not want to eat, but still he ate. Now, you will soon be strong, she said, not liking him and yet moved to comfort him. He did not answer. When Sadao came in the third day after the operation, he found the young man sitting up, his face bloodless with the efforts. Lie down, Sadao cried. Do you want to die? He forced the man down gently and strongly and examined the wound. You may kill yourself if you do this sort of thing, he scolded. Or what are you doing to do with me? The boy muttered. He looked just now barely 17. Are you going to hand me over? As Hannah fed in the man, she said that soon he would become strong. She said so despite the fact that she disliked him. The man did not reply to her. So thou visited the man on the third day after the operation. The young man was sitting, but his face was pale and weak due to the effort that he made while sitting. Thou screamed at him and ordered him to lay down. He said that the man would die if he stretched himself. So thou forced him down and inspected the wound that he had operated upon. He scolded the man that he could die if he tried to exert himself. The boy asked thou that what would he do with him now. It seemed that the boy was hardly 17 years old. He asked thou that would he hand him over to the Japanese army. For a moment thou did not answer. He finished his examination and then pulled the silk quilt over the man. I do not know myself what I shall do with you, he said. I ought to course to give you to the police. You are prisoner of war, nor do not tell me anything. He put up his hand as he saw the young man was about to speak. Do not even tell me your name unless I ask it. Thou did not reply. Instantly, he completed examining the boy and then put the silk quilt on him. So thou said that he himself did not know what he should do with the boy. He added that he was supposed to hand him over to the police. He also disclosed that he knew that the boy was a prisoner of war. Also, thou said that boy was about to speak. He raised his hand to indicate him not to do so. So thou asked him not to speak and not to tell his name also unless he asked him to do so. They look at each other for a moment and then the young man closed his eyes and turned his face to the wall. Okay, he whispered his mouth a bitter line. Outside the door, Hannah was waiting for Sdao. He saw at once that she was in trouble. Sdao and the boy exchanged glances and then the boy closed his eyes and turned his face towards the wall. He said, okay, in a low voice as he felt bitter by Sdao's word. Outside the door, Hannah was waiting for Sdao. He saw that she was in some sort of trouble. Sdao, Yummy tell me the servant feel that they cannot stay if he hide this man here anymore, she said. She tells me that they are saying that you and I were so long in America that we have forgotten to think of our own country first. They think we like Americans. Hannah said to Sudhav that Yamin told her that the servant would not stay with them if the American men lived there any longer. She also said that Sdao and Hannah had been in America for a such long time that they had forgotten their country purity. Yummy and the servants thought that Hannah and Sdao liked Americans. It is not true, Sdao said harshly. Americans are our enemies, but I have been trained not to let a man die if I can help it. Sdao reacted harshly and said that this was not true. He said that Americans were their enemies. He had been trained in such a way that he could not let a man die and would help to save him in whichever way he could. That was what thou had done. The servant cannot understand that. She said anxiously. No, he agreed. Neither seemed able to say more, and somehow the household dragged on. The servant grew more watchful. Their curiosity was as careful as ever, but their eyes were cold upon the pair to whom they were hired. Hannah said that the servants could not understand Sdau's predicament. Sdau agreed with this. Predicament means Sdau's fear. Both of them had nothing more to say. The course of the house continue, the works of the house, the work of the house continue, but the servants were vigilant, more aware. They were polite but unfriendly towards their masters. Okay, this is your today's lecture. Thank you. Have a nice day.